Good morning, everybody. Kat here. At least it's morning here. Today, I went through my Facebook groups and I saw a question that someone posted about neutral tint, what it is, and what do you use it for. So I thought I'd do a very quick video on this today. This is the neutral tint I own. It's by Winsor & Newton, and it's a pre-mix. And it has the pigment contents on here. Now I looked up Daniel Smith, it's the same pigment content. So can we mix it ourselves? Well, let's see. So the first thing I'll do is put a swatch of the premix right here. And then I'm going to mix my own in this bowl over here. So the contents say it's phthalo blue, which is PB15, carbon black, which is PBK6, and pigment rose, which is PB19. And I'm going to see if we can mix our own here. Oh, you're getting a glare. Let me fix the glare. So in this bowl, in this dish, I think it's on painting tubes. I think it's very similar to food ingredient labels. I think the first pigment listed is probably the highest one in there. So I'll at least try to get them equal for now. It's a little tricky to do sometimes. I think I need a bit more black, and then my violet. And when you're a beginner, the pigment numbers can be a little bit confusing, but they are actually quite handy to know. So what I do, I don't remember them all, by the way. I write them down. So my Quin Magenta, this is my own palette that I make with my favorite colors. And I always write the common name, and I always write the pigment numbers because it helps me to read the labels when I'm out buying some paint. And let's say I want something to go on a painting that's vibrant, and most of my painting is yellow. Well, I'll know not to buy something that has a violet in it, because yellow and violet, if you look at our earlier video, yellow and violet neutralize each other. So I wouldn't want to pick that color. That's why learning your pigment colors is handy. Now here's the mixed one. Now keep in mind these are not measured out like theirs are, so we'll see how that dries. And I'll also show you what this is used for. I'm going to paint a few swatches here. Is it essential in your kit? No, I don't think so. Is it handy? Yes. Because I use this instead of black often, because black is the absence of all light. So if you paint with black, it's very dull. Like you can see here, it's still glistening, but when it's dry, it's quite dull. But if you add a color to the black, even just a dab, it'll brighten it right up. So I'm going to allow these to dry, and I'm also going to come down to this sphere here. And I'm going to show you how I use it. I use neutral tint as an underpainting, as well as in place of black. I like to use it for subtle shadows, etc. So let's take these petals here. So here's my neutral tint. Very, very watery, so that it's light. And I'm going to just suppose that the light's coming from the very top, so that the bottom of these, they're not in the sun. So I would like to put some kind of shadows, very subtle, soft shadows. Now, this is not cotton paper, so you know, the shadows aren't as soft as they should be. And you can be quite light with this, because if you're painting on white paper, you don't need a lot of this for your shadows to be subtle. So now I'm going to go in with a bit deeper, because around here, because this is close to the petals, it's quite dark, and I'm just going to put some in here like that. You can also put the striations that are in a petal. Now we're going to let this dry, and we're going to see the effect that it has later on the color. Now for my sphere here, let's assume that the light is coming from here. So I'm going to paint. I'm just putting a bit of water because this is not good paper, so I don't want it to stain the paper. I want it to be able to move. So I'm just going to put use this as my shadow. And of course, this could be done a lot nicer if it were an actual painting. So when this dries, I will add a layer of color, and you'll see how doing this underpainting affects the outcome. And while I wait for that to dry, I thought I'd paint in the cast shadow here to show you how dark neutral tint can look if you use it with less water. Okay, first I want to show you the effect that this has on color. So I'm going to take a yellow, I'm going to take an orange, and I'm going to take Antwerp blue. So these are all transparent colors that I chose. So on the yellow, now I don't recommend you mix. Some people use neutral tint to mix with a color to darken it for a shadow. But if you mix this, there's blue in here. So yellow and blue make green. Yellow and purple make a brownie color, which would be okay for a shadow. And so you have to be careful unless you want a green tinge to your painting, you have to be quite careful about the colors you mix. That's why learning the pigment numbers comes in handy. It's not essential, but it comes in handy. This is a cool orange. It's called Paranone Orange. Just want you to see the effect that it has. Now, because it's cool, it tends to blend quite well with these two colors up here. The two colors here. This is Antwerp blue. And I want to show you on like a peachy skin tone that would be used for a little white baby or a kid, you know, somebody quite young and peachy looking, or even I guess some adults are lucky and they have this peachy skin color, eh? So it can work quite well because you can still see the color that you're choosing and that there's a shadow underneath. Now, before we move on to my other examples, I just want to show you what happens if you mix the yellow and neutral tint. So I'm going to take my neutral tint that I mixed, and this is the company neutral tint, and we'll see if there's a difference. So I'm just taking Indian yellow because that's what I used here. I'm going to mix it in here, and instantly I see green, like a green brown color. It's not a nice color unless that's what you're looking for. And if I mix it in with here, whoops, I didn't take enough. Same thing. Same thing. So it's not recommended I don't use it with yellows. That's the only thing, color I find I stay away from when I'm using my neutral tint. Okay, so I think this is dry enough now. So I'm going to quickly show you here on some petals. I'm going to use a Quin Magenta and just going to paint over this. And if you're painting a white flower, this is also quite handy because it's not, sometimes you don't want to use blue or purple for your shadows. So this is a really nice color because it's both. It's like using both. So you can see, you see those shadows beneath the layer of rose. Okay, so now I'm going to do the center. Let's do a nice kind of limey green center. So your shadows are there. So it comes in handy. Now this is, as I said, this is pretty rudimentary stuff. I'm not going into any detail, but your shadows are already there. Now let's see what about the sphere. You can see how it affects the shadowing of the sphere. So what color should I do that? How about I use a green color? I'll use my phthalo green. Just, I'm trying to stay in the lines, but I'm standing up again as I paint. That way I can watch my camera shenanigans. Now look, automatically I've put the same layer of paint on and you can still see this is the shadow part and this is the light part. If you want to remove more of a highlight, you can always do that. But the neutral tint is really, really handy for this kind of thing. So to wrap things up, do you really need neutral tint? No. Can you mix it yourself? Yes. So you don't have to go and buy any. Just tune into this video and the recipe is right there. Well, I hope this little video helped. I hope you give the neutral tint a little bit of a try and see if you find it useful. I'd like to know if you do. Leave it in the comment section below. I'm curious. Thanks for watching. Happy watercoloring. Bye bye.